It is the 30th day of March 2023. A very good evening to you and welcome to TV 47 News Tonight. Quite a lot lined up just for you, but then to the headlights tonight. Tonight.
Wao wametupita tu shortly hapo within 10 minutes, halafu tukikuja tunaona mbona watu wamejaa, kumbe ni wao ndo wamepata accident.
14 people dead after Pwani University bus rams into a matatu in Naivasha, Nakuru County. Also tonight, Nation Media Group journalist injured during Azimio protests. This as Media Council of Kenya condemns attack on journalists. Plus, Azimio leaders maintain the protests will continue. This as the government insists it will not dialogue with the opposition leaders. A very good evening to you once more. Catherine Simolo is on the sign language interpretation. My name is Stanley Nyeringita. It is again the 30th day of March 2023. Quite a lot lined up for you. This Thursday, quite a lot happened in the country during the Azimio La Umoja One Coalition anti-government protest, and we'll be having that for you. Also in the bulletin, we'll be having an interview with the chairman of the Council for the National Government, non-governmental organizations, and we'll be diving into the ICC factor. Basically, this is regarding a particular letter that the NGO wrote to the ICC. Basically, we'll be taking a look at that. But first, 18 people have been confirmed dead following the Naivasha road accident, with 56 people still nursing serious injuries. That's University bus hit a matatu, killing 14 people on the spot. And as Andrin Kilemi reports, the Pwani University students were headed to Naivasha for the National Sports Games when the accident occurred.
A crowd continued to gather around a scene that in itself tells of the tragedy behind the wreckage. This 62-seater bus that was ferrying Pwani University students who were headed to Eldoret for the National Sports Games lost control and rammed onto a 14-seater matatu that was headed to Naivasha. The bus and the matatu now lay in ruins, their metal frames twisted and crushed beyond recognition.
Wao wametupita tu shortly hapo within 10 minutes, halafu tukikuja, in fact mmoja Ken ametucall akatuambia to stop hapa Naivasha tukule snack ndo tuende. Sasa hiyo time tu ametucall alafu akatupita, na in short while tu tunaona wao ndo wameanguka. Tunaona mbona watu wamejaa, kumbe ni wao ndo wamepata accident.
Eyewitnesses say the Pwani University bus may have had brake failure, with the driver losing control and hitting the matatu from behind, pushing it into the trench.
Ni kama ilikuwa imeruzi brakes, kwa maana dereva ilikuwa imekimbia sana. Na wakati ilipita, kuna Nissan ambayo ilikuwa mbele yake ya Kukena, na Nissan ilikuwa imesimama kando ambayo ilikuwa inashukisha mama, na ikarudi kwa barabara bila kujua lile basi lilikuwa limepoteza brakes, na ikaweza kupiga hiyo Nissan. Kwa mtaro, na basi ikaanguka.
Details captured in police reports indicate that the accident occurred at Kayole Bridge on the Nakuru-Naivasha highway, killing 14 people on the spot, while 4 others succumbed to the injuries while receiving treatment in hospital. 56 other people continue to nurse serious injuries. The accident caused a major disruption on the highway, causing traffic to come to a standstill for hours. Those injured were rushed to the Naivasha Sub-County Hospital, where they continue to receive treatment. Andrin Kilemi, TV 47.
Thank you for that, Andrin Kilemi. Now to matters politics. In the third day of the anti-government protests, Azimio leader Raila Odinga has maintained opposition will press on with planned mass action amidst calls to slow down the protests and give dialogue a chance. Speaking during the protest, Odinga announced the mother of all demonstrations on Monday next week after police blocked him from accessing Jacaranda grounds on Thursday. Mike Kagongo with the details.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga says despite the high-handedness of police officers to block Azimio supporters during their protest in various parts of the country, he will have no option but to mobilize more protests unless the Kenya Kwanza government addresses their concerns, among them the high cost of living and electoral reforms.
Bei ya bidhaa muhimu shuka chini, bei ya unga irudi chini, mafuta ya kupika irudi chini, petroli irudi chini, diesel irudi chini, sukari irudi chini, stima irudi chini, kodi ya nyumba irudi chini, karo ya shule irudi chini. Unaunga mkono?
The ODM boss said the countrywide demonstrations will liberate Kenya from dictatorship and high cost of living. Speaking in Imara Daima Embakasi South constituency, Raila said no amount of state intimidations will make him backtrack on his resolve.
Tumemwambia Bwana Ruto, waacha vyama, waacha Azimio, hapana nunua wajumbe wa Azimio. Walichaguliwa na Azimio, wabaki kwa Azimio. Kama wanataka kutoka, warudi kwa wananchi, wachaguliwa upya.
Lazima tuwe chini ya utawala wa kikatiba na haki za mwananchi ziheshimiwe. Na kama si hivyo, Ruto must go. Ruto must go.
Odinga insists he won last year's election in which he accuses President William Ruto of stealing his votes. The Azimio leader is pushing President William Ruto's administration to resign on its decision on removing the subsidies on key food commodities on claims that it's unsuitable, so as to lower the cost of living.
Sababu ikifunguliwa, Ruto naenda nyumbani. Yeye mwenyewe anajua. Shebukati aende ndani. Sawa? Wale makomishina wanne, Cherera na wengine warudi kazini. Unaunga mkono?
Also, Azimio la Umoja leaders are demanding that the government addresses the high cost of living, the opening of IEBC servers, and involving all political parties in the selection of new IEBC commissioners.
Lazima tume ya uchaguzi iwe ni ya kila mtu na sio ya Ruto peke yake.
Kwa hivyo na washukuru, maandamano yetu ni amani. Na washukuru wale ambao mnabeba hata matawi kuonyesha amani tupu. It will not matter how many people you will kill. For those who will remain, will make the revolution a success. Tunataka huu ujumbe ufikie William Ruto. Dawa ya hii maandamano ni unga. Awache maneno mingi, ashukishe bei ya unga ifike shilingi 70 vile aliahidi, si ndio?
Mike Kagwango, TV 47, Nairobi.
And for the third time, the Azimio One Kenya protests brought business in some parts of the capital metropolitan area to standstill, with deadly confrontations between the police and demonstrators witnessed, leaving behind a cloud of tear gas in the air and the roads tattered by rocks. But a different situation of peace and orderliness witnessed in the central business district. Yet again, the Raila-led demonstrations did not manage to access the central business district. Strategically placed to thwart such efforts. Mwege William kept tabs with the situation with Nairobi and filed the following report.
In the third planned demos advocated by the Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga and core principals, running battles between the police and protesters were witnessed as early as 11 in the morning in some parts of Nairobi. In Mathare number 10 area already, the stinging cloud of tear gas dominated the area, with fully dressed officers in anti-riot gear engaging stone-throwing protesters, with more anti-riot officers deployed in the area following what was witnessed in the Monday demonstration, where police had a difficult time to disperse youth who had barricaded a section of Juja Road. After hours of fierce confrontation between the law enforcers and protesters, it took the effort of women from the area pleading with police to cease lobbing tear gas to protesters. With the clouds settling in Mathare and plans by Raila Odinga and team to access the central business district were for the third time thwarted by police officers who heavily lobbed tear gas at his convoy, which was snaking out of the east sides of Nairobi after making stops in Imara Daima and Pipeline areas. Protesters had to scamper for safety as police kept firing tear gas. This was minutes later after Raila announced he would dare lead the mammoth to the CBD. Minutes after Raila and other leaders driving off, the outer ring was a no-go zone for any, either motorists or pedestrians, with a fierce exchange of tear gas and stones by police and protesters, respectively, after the major road was barricaded using stones and fire lit using tires. A cat and mouse chase was witnessed between the two sides. On the contrast of the situation in the outskirts of Nairobi in the CBD, the situation was normal, with operations carried on as expected, albeit a low number of Kenyans witnessed in the streets. However, a heavy presence of police patrolling almost every street of the capital on foot, vehicles and horses were all hands on deck. Less forgotten was the heavy presence of the men in boots in every possible entry to the CBD. Mwige William, TV 47, Nairobi.
And normalcy was disrupted in different parts of the country following the third day of mass protests pushed by opposition leader Raila Odinga. Gilbert Nalo paints a picture of what transpired during the demonstrations in the counties.
Tens of thousands of Kenyans today took to the streets to protest over the high cost of living.
Tafadhali, tafadhali, rudisha kila kitu chini, uchumi ikuwe sawa, kila mtu akuwe sawa. Tafadhali tunakufa njaa.
In Migori town, residents were up in arms calling on the Kenya Kwanza government to protect lives and property.
And I want to tell you, Mr. President, that as much as you have decided to frustrate the Kenyans, please respect the former states and respect their wealth and respect their family.
While condemning the act where unidentified persons on Monday invaded the Northlands farm belonging to the First family, the protesters wanted the government to take actions against all those who may have participated in the action that led to massive destruction of property.
Tumeona mumeingia kwa vitu za wananchi. Hakuna serikali ambayo inaenda kuharibu mali ya Wakenya wenye anafaa walinde. Kenya tuko na security ya kutosha. Na ukipata mashamba ya raia zinaharibiwa na hao security, hatujui kesho tutakuwa wapi. Tunataka kuambia Ruto na Gachagua, mali ya Uhuru Kenyatta ni mali ya Kenya na wanafaa walinde. Mambo ya kuharibu mashamba ya Mama Ngina Kenyatta, sisi watu wa Migori tumeshutumu hiyo ni dhuluma ya hali ya juu.
Similar state of unrest was witnessed in Vihiga County, with transport paralyzed along Kaimosi Kapsabet Road by the protesters who came out in large numbers to decry the high cost of living, pointing a finger to the Kenya Kwanza government for failing to honor its promises.
Tunataka mambo ya unga ishuka chini. Mambo ya elimu ishuka chini. Mambo ya mafuta ya taa ishuka chini. Mafuta ya petroli ishuka chini. Wamama wapewe biashara.
Tunasema Ruto vitu ishike chini. Sufuria kwangu sina cha kupikia. Vitu ishike chini.
The situation was the same in Kisumu and Homa Bay counties, escalating to running battles between the protesters and the police, forcing them to lobby tear gas to disperse angry protesters.
Hii mambo ya ati tunaanza kuzuiliwa, askari wanaturushia tear gas ya nini? Hatujadhuru mtu yoyote. Badala ya waache tufanye ile shughuli tunafanya, hawa ndio wanatudhulumu kwa kuturushia tear gas.
Reporting for TV47, my name is Gilbert Nalwa.
Tonight, efforts by the international community and religious leaders to strike a deal for dialogue between President William Ruto and Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga have failed to bear fruit. This is after Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua revealed details of his talks with visiting US Senator Chris Coons and religious leaders that the only talks the president will have with Odinga is his exit from politics. Apollo Kumar reports on the hardening of positions on the day Azimio protests entered day 3.
Hours after a flurry of engagements between the international community, religious leaders, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, and Azimio principals, the push for dialogue appears to have hit a dead end, if a statement by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is anything to go by. Gachagua, speaking in Mombasa, says the only talks the president will have with Odinga is his exit from politics.
We have told our international partners who are pushing us to sit with Raila Odinga. We have told church leaders who are telling us to sit with Raila Odinga that we are willing to sit with him, but not to discuss his forceful entry into government. We are telling our friends that we cannot violate the Constitution. Our Constitution has no provision for Raila Odinga to come into government through the back door.
Early Wednesday, DP Gachagua met U.S. Senator Chris Coons, who is in the country for the American Chamber of Commerce Summit. Coons' agenda was a push for dialogue, a message he later took to Azimio in the company of U.S. Ambassador Mike Whitman, where Azimio principals raised their grievances with the Ruto administration.
It's unfortunate, and we tell Raila Odinga, you have been very unfair to this country. You have been very unfair to this country. It's about time you made a decision. And come, sit down with the President William Ruto and discuss one agenda only. Your exit from the Kenyan political space and permanent retirement.
According to a statement from Azimio, the two sides agreed on the need to respect the Constitution and the rule of law in all activities. Azimio principals had also met Catholic bishops.
Na tumeongelea kuhusu kutafakari jinsi ya kuishi na amani.
The opening of servers is a no-go zone for the government in the anticipated talks, which Azimio premises as a condition for talks, and the reconstitution of the IEBC polls team halted. Azimio is also said to be pushing for an inclusive government, interpreted to mean another handshake. Apol Kamau, TV47.
Journalists in Kenya have, in the longest time, enjoyed a working environment that is among the most friendly and safe in Africa. However, that is slowly changing following the frequent attacks on journalists in the country. Tonight, 6 journalists are nursing serious injuries after they were allegedly attacked by the police while covering the Azimio protests. This bringing the number of journalists who have been attacked in the past 1 week alone to 10. Among them, TV47 journalist Jones Nganga, and as Ronnie Reagan reports, the Media Council of Kenya has condemned the attacks on journalists, terming it inhumane. Here is Ronnie Reagan with the story.
They say a journalist is the mirror of the society, but here in Kenya, journalists cannot cover the issues affecting Kenyans. At least that is the situation today. Today, many of them found themselves in a trouble as they were attacked by either goons of the police as they went about their business to cover the Azimio One Kenya protest.
Juu ya gari, tulianza kwanza kuna chiefs camp tulipita. I think wa polisi walikuwa hapa kaanza kurusha tear gas. So ilikuwa ni process mtu zuri ya kukuja. Kufika hapa mbele, si tukatoka kwa hiyo ya kwanza. Hiyo kwanza tuliona wata karao kutupa hizo live bullets. Uzuri tukamwambia driver manze speed off, hapa tunaanza pigwa. Tulikuwa juu ya gari. So kufika hapa before tukuja kujeni kwa barabara kwa main highway, tear gas ikaanza kutupwa. Zikatupwa. Moja ikakuwa too much, sasa tusioni mbele juu tumejaza. So nilikuwa na gas mask na ile helmet. Ikaingia paka kwa gas mask. Ikabidi nimetoa. Nilikuwa nimevaa ile bullet. Moja ilipigwa ikagonga hii helmet. Kaingia hapa ndani. Ikaingia kama jalipuka. So ni have to because jianza kuchoma. Hata mimi nichoma. Ukiangalia hapa by the way, nimechoma hapa hivi.
Today, several journalists covering the Azimio protests were seriously injured, among them Nation media journalist Eric Isinda, who was allegedly attacked by the police while performing his duties of informing Kenyans. A total of 6 journalists were injured today alone, with 10 journalists nursing serious injuries following attacks in a span of 1 week, including TV47 journalist Jones Nganga, who was injured during the protests. The Media Council of Kenya has condemned the attacks on journalists, calling the government to protect members of the Fourth Estate. Tonight, we want to tell our leaders that journalism is not a crime. Let journalists perform their duties properly without interference. The role of the media is to inform, educate, and entertain. We must be protected and respected accordingly. Ronnie Reagan, TV 47.
Right, and we definitely wish a quick recovery to all the journalists who have been hurt. Now, in the recent protests organized by tonight for the third night in 10 days, the media fraternity is bleeding and attacks made against them for just doing the jobs. And in the recent protests organized by the Azimio la Umoja coalition, journalists have unfortunately become targets of both disguised protesters and identifiable police officers. We have seen police officers mandated by the Constitution to not only protect and serve, but also enforce the same law that guarantees the safety of journalists, act with reckless abandon and unnecessary brutality on journalists whose only crime apparently is to brave it all in a bid to bring you up to the minute updates. It all started on Monday last week when our very own John Nganga was injured in the first day of the Azimio protests. He is still recuperating at the home days later. And just this Monday, we saw the harrowing images of fellow journalists from other media houses, including Citizen TV, NTV, and Africa Uncensored, among others, being attacked by the police for breaking no law. And just today, 6 journalists across the country were attacked while covering the protests. I'm sure most of you have seen the painful image of the attack on Eric Isinta, a photojournalist with NTV. Tonight we are saying enough is enough, and this madness has to stop. The drafters of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 saw it very important to have a whole chapter dedicated to fundamental human rights. They had it placed under Chapter 4 of the document that is regarded as the true north of the laws of the land. We are talking about the Bill of Rights in that particular chapter. There are several articles under the chapter, but we will be very particular on Article 34, which lays the basis for the foundation of freedom of the media, which is by extension under the freedom of expression, Article 34 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 enshrines the freedom and independence of electronic, print, and all other types of media. This article recognizes the media as an important pillar of democracy and good governance, and therefore protects it from unique interference and control by the government or any other external forces. The article guarantees the freedom of the press, which includes the right to seek, receive, and impart information or ideas, and the freedom of artistic creativity. It also provides for the establishment and protection of media diversity, ensuring that the media is not controlled by any particular group or individual. Furthermore, the article mandates the state to respect, protect, and promote the freedom of the media, as well as ensure that journalists are not subjected to intimidation, harassment, or violence. It also provides for the establishment of an independent media council to regulate the conduct and professionalism of the media. Journalists acknowledge the importance of authorities bringing perpetrators of violence during protests to justice. However, we urge caution and ask that solution be sought in a manner that does not endanger journalists as messengers. Tonight, we are asking the Inspector General of Police, Japhet Koome, to rein and ask his officers to cease the attacks on the messenger. And definitely, we do hope that our demands as journalists, the members of the Fourth Estate, and the police via the Inspector General of Police, Japheth Koome, that the police stop shooting the messenger, that all the journalists, the members of the press who have been injured in one way or another, psychologically or even physically, should be, or rather will be, go all the process of recovery. Let's take a look at something else now. And as tension remains high following Monday's Northlands farm invasion and alleged police bias in dealing with the matter, tens of police officers have been deployed to provide security at retired President Uhuru Kenyatta's Ishaweri home in Gatundu South, Kiambu County. And as Elizabeth Atieno now reports, a section of residents from the Mount Kenya region have amplified their voices to condemn the attacks, which they maintain is a plan orchestrated by a section of vindictive leaders from the region. Take a look.
The ambience in Ishaweri village, Gatundu South, is that of peace and silence, with the only sound being that of trees blown by the strong wind. This well-constructed tarmac road leads us to former President Uhuru Kenyatta's home. Here, we are welcomed by the scene of heavily armed police officers pitching tent at this gate in what is described as a move to quell eventualities that could arise from the ongoing countrywide demonstrations. The Kenyatta family has not only received a security boost in Ishaweri, but also at Northlands located in Ruiru, where tens of security officers and trained security dogs have been patrolling the farm, which was invaded by 2,000 criminals who went ahead to construct makeshift camps, further making away with hundreds of livestock on Monday this week. According to area residents, normalcy has been restored as they are now able to go about their business.
Siku ya leo kumetulia, sio kama Monday venye kulikuwa. Monday kulikuwa na furugu huku, watu waliingia huku wakafunja gate, wakachukua mambuzi. Sasa hata leo yani naona tu kumetulia kuko sawa, kuna watu huku naona wanaendelea kazi vizuri. Naona hapa masoja wako sawa, wanafanya kazi yao vizuri.
Kazi leo iko sawa. Ningependa kuwa welcome sana huku wako very customers. Semeka kama unahitaji maua unaweza kama hapa along Eastern Bypass.
The beefed up security is being witnessed just a day after Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki broke his silence on the matter by sounding a tough warning to violent protests and promising to protect lives and properties as enshrined in the Constitution. The Monday invasion at the Northlands farm is still eliciting reactions from Kenyans, especially those from the Mount Kenya region. Today, a section of women from Mutomo village, Gatundu South in Kiambu County, took to the streets to protest on the incident, further faulting Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who was at the helm of the country's leadership following President Ruto's just concluded 4-day trip to Germany.
Kwa maana sisi tunasirika kwa nini? Tunasirika kwa maana hata kama bwana yangu anaondoka, hata mimi matakuja kuchukua hiyo kitu yangu. Asukue kiti, asukue madisi, asukue miti, asukue samba. Si ndio? Hiyo maneno ni ya kunyang'anya wengine. Sisi hapa nataka hiyo maneno, tunakata kabisa.
Tu kama huyo mama, wazee wetu wameaga. Na sasa vile wameaga, hata sisi tunaona wakitoka huko wataingia kwetu.
The Mutomo women further alleged that failure by police to move in and repulse the intruders, who were armed with axes, power saws and pangas, was scripted to abet the thuggery acts, which they described as having painted the country's image in bad light. Both the Northlands farm linked to the Kenyatta family and Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga's Spectre gas company were invaded on Monday midday, and no arrests have so far been made. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47.
That story by Elizabeth Atieno takes us to a first short break. Remember, we'll be having a particular conversation with the chairman of the national government, non-governmental organizations to talk about what next after the Azimio anti-government protest. Stick around.
TV47, the home of untold stories.
Nobody loves me the way that you do. Nobody can love you the way that I do.
Phase of life, you may seem lost until you discover the passion within.
I'm happy that MKU decided to open a branch in Malindi to make work easier for those parents who have never been away from their kids or children.
It has all the equipment that I need to study and all the facilities that I need.
Since we are one of the most beautiful and ultra-modern structure.
Join us at Mount Kenya University and Equip Africa Institute Malindi Odell Center to build your future. Intake in April for electronic learning and May for distance learning. Mount Kenya University.
Unlocking infinite possibilities.
Karibuni.
Mount Kenya. Welcome to the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center, the premier events venue. Our state-of-the-art facilities are designed to meet all your needs, from large-scale conferences to intimate meetings and everything in between. Located in the heart of Thika, the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center offers stunning views of the city skyline and is easily accessible from all major transportation hubs. Our facility features ample parking, free Wi-Fi, advanced audiovisual equipment, and our technical team is always on hand to ensure your event runs smoothly and seamlessly. Don't take our word for it. Make your next event unforgettable at the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center. Contact us today for bookings and reservations. Email multimedia@mku.ac.ke or call us on 0708 212204 or 0727 441733 or 0721 438 629 to learn more about our services and book your event.
Authentic, natural, planned, transforming. Endless benefits. Slaty, purely Kenyan. Buy now on Jumia or Amazon.
Alaka system yo donse hapa panda vid basi likoishi hapo. Nikambo boss kuna gap. Utafanya nini? Mimi ningeto kazo. Ara kataka tu kompompe tanka I did from my head.
Sisi kweli tu ni Valentines. Kila saa. If you look keenly, mimi nakuanga nampea maua twice a week.
Well, wondering what else your favorite celebrity is all about? Catch the eagle himself. Hey! DJ Listening. And your favorite celebrity every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. on Dr. Ofueneke Tonight. You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Thank you for staying with us. This is TV47 News Tonight, and as promised, we'll be having this particular conversation with the Non-Governmental Organizations Council Chairman, Samuel Githinji Macharia, to shed light on do we need a call for dialogue right about now? And the recent letter dated 25th of March to the International Criminal Court, asking and basically addressing quite a lot of issues, basically, on the Azimio process. But then real quick, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
Well.
Right. Let's dive into this particular letter that you wrote to the ICC on the that is dated the 25th day of March 2023. First of all, how many people, were constituted to write this particular letter, and so far have you received any response from the ICC?
Well, thank you for the question. I am the chairman of the council, and the council has a the board.
Yeah.
So initially it is the board that we sat. There's not the whole council, not the whole fraternity.
Indeed. And
we wrote that letter to ICC, and as you ask, we have not received any feedback, but of which we are waiting to have the reply of the letter.
Which particular feedback are you mostly waiting for?
We are waiting the feedback from ICC. Mm-hmm. That's where we addressed the letter, and also we wrote it to the parliament to look at the way this country can be taken on. Because when we look at what is happening, and we feel that it needs something. We need to do something.
Okay.
And Mwananchi, the border people down there, the Shokora there, the whoever will not be able to say what to be done. It's only that the leaders that we have put forward there, they can advise us.
Okay.
And that's why we feel that we need those leaders to sit down and come up with a resolution.
So are you expecting a positive response from ICC? What sort of response are you expecting from the ICC?
For sure, the points that we have raised, they have to answer. They have to advise us on how to go about,
okay.
or the way it is taken. It should be taken on, because we have raised a number of issues that we feel they need to be discussed.
Okay.
Not forgetting that this is not the first time. So we have talked about many other, any other times, the past times, and we feel that they will consider, they will see, and they will advise us.
Right.
Yes, on the outcome.
Let's focus on, you mentioned that you also wrote to the National Assembly, and my question and the questions that Kenyans will have this particular evening would be, why write to the National Assembly instead of writing to Azimio leader Raila Odinga and President William Ruto, which might be, which might consume less time, and they might actually receive these particular messages and act according to what you'll have written to them?
We are familiar to the way that things are happening in this country.
Okay.
We are familiar to the how the leadership is. For God's sake, to have the president now you advise him on this kind of thing, it is not easy, because he has a panel that advises him. Mm-hmm. And I want to remember that you have been having panelists in this room, and even other media houses. What each one of us is coming here to do is to tell that particular person who is concerned. He may take a word from you by watching the TV, because I know they used to. Or even that advising council, they can get a word from me or from the other one, then they use that one. So we cannot waste waste a lot of time, not actually wasting them, not use that one, but use a lot of time queuing to see the president.
Have you tried to contact either Raila or Ruto?
Yeah, we have done. We have tried, but it is not easy. He has a lot of people surrounding him that you need to analyze. To give all the information that you want to tell him, then that is irrelevant or whatever. So the only thing, and I think that is why you are inviting us here, and that's why we come to these media houses, is to give that advice. Actually, we don't come here because we have a right answer. But it's true that the one knows, and the other one, it makes something. Because nobody who can say, I am the one who knows this. But however, if all I'm saying is that if I'm the one who is given a mantle, and I pursue this the way I'm saying, I can see the end of it. Just to run from another person, his perspective is different from mine, then and that's why we are saying, readers need to sit together and come up with a resolution. And the one that will save this country. You know, I do remember sometimes I used to feel unwell, and I take a painkiller. A painkiller, I don't feel pain, but I'm not healed. What we have been doing in this country, and in fact, these leaders, we have been with them for all those years, is that when you see, like this matter was there 2008, we were there. You know, we took the painkiller. We never healed the same. Then it continues that way until now. So it is their prerogative now to sit down and heal this and once for all.
In your particular letter, you have raised 9 particular worries, and in most of them, you have had genesis of where most of this, where the protests began after the elections, and the winner was announced. Because of, there are quite plenty of them. There are quite 9 of them right about here, and I believe even in our social media platforms, you can actually get this particular letter. Yes. Which particular method do you feel like is the best way the Azimio leadership should address their woes, basically?
Well, I don't have a specific and the right one, but I have my feeling. And my feeling could be, if I'm given a mantle, that's what I'm saying, I can use this way, and maybe I can get it to the destination. One, all of us knows we have to scrutinize ourselves and know the weakness and the strength. Let me address the former Prime Minister. The former Prime Minister is somebody who is gifted by God, by power of masses. He has the power of masses. And having powers of masses, it is a favor given to him. Now, if it were me, I could not have used that gift in a way of maybe exposing the masses. Rather, what is happening and why I'm here is because I used to talk about the human right of everybody. Media, police, everybody, even the Shokora. Yeah. Even the Shokora needs to live in this country. Indeed. And in fact, we need to talk about, on behalf of him. Now, when I know very well that I have that power, that I call people from wherever, with one only word, and I tell them to enter the State House, and people marches to State House without, thinking, twice what will happen. Then people are killed because at least there will be confrontation. You see, that kind of misuse, the gift of God. That is what I would say. And that's why I am saying, because he may not listen because of what is in him and what is in the other party. We are saying, if there could be a neutral body, that is the ICC, the neutral body, that you come and assess, you did not do it well here, you did not do it well here, you could have done this, and you need to do this, then we come to a neutral ground.
Do you think ICC coming on board is a bandage, is a band-aid measure or a posterity measure?
I feel it again because the way we are, we fear that court anyway.
Do you think 5 years from now we'll actually still remain and look back and read reports from the ICC and the recommendations that they would have had maybe in the next elections, and we actually look at these particular recommendations, or as a country we will have forgotten about these recommendations? What
do you know? Let me just say, we close the doors not because the thief will not come, just for security measures. We are doing this because if it goes beyond now, there could be genocide or anything. You never know. Nobody knows that what will happen. But now it is that we had spoken about this. If you could have taken a keen interest on looking at this, we could not have come to the level we are.
Okay.
And if we are requested by then, if it happens, then we can give other information.
Okay.
Yes.
Your final words. Look at this particular camera. As the chair of non-governmental organizations, you command a big voice in this particular country. They are listening to you this evening. Your last words to them and your clarion call to the leaders.
Well, I just want to say it is very unfortunate that surely we are into this, to the situation that we are in, a situation that we can take care of. And I want to caution our readers, some are grandfathers, some are great-grandfathers, that we have a future of our children. We need to have a country that we leave to our children, and they enjoy like we have enjoyed. In fact, this Kenya is not ending today because I'm the chairman, or even you are the president or deputy president. No, we will continue. We will continue, and we want to see this country to be enjoyable to the young people and the young generation that are coming. Because I have maybe I have senior people.
Okay.
Maybe somebody else has junior people. Okay. You need to see those junior people can become senior. So create an environment of where they will become senior and they enjoy. Okay. Let us not take this as if we want to go with it when we die.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
sir. Kamal Githinji Macharia, the chair of the National Council of the National Non-Governmental Organizations. Quite a mouthy term. Let's focus on something else for a minute now. And the cash crunch in counties could continue even further after Treasury admitted it doesn't have money to disburse to counties. Speaking when he appeared before the Senate Public Accounts Investment Committee, Treasury Principal Secretary Dr. Chris Kipto denied claims that they are denying counties their fair share in what he says soon will disburse the funds through Senate demanded, though Senate demanded that counties receive their share not later than 15th of April.
It's only that...
On a date with the Senate County Public Investments Committee, Treasury Principal Secretary Dr. Chris Kipto admitted that the government is broke and thus unable to disburse counties' share.
What we collect. So the measures we are taking will help us to now make sure we have enough to pay and on time. And that's why I didn't want to say by when, because it's not... I'm not able to say in the next 1 week or 2 weeks, but I know that soon as possible is not very far from now. We are already beginning to pay, we have sorted all the debt payments which are due, and we are moving systematically to sort out the remaining disbursements. So give us time, but I give you undertaking that we will address this. Then.
According to Kipto, it's unfair to claim that the Treasury is holding on the money, insisting that they disburse money when they collect it. He told senators that counties received 36 billion shillings for December disbursements last week, and as of now, there is no money in their coffers for most of the counties.
Money that has been disbursed is what the KRA will follow. But KRA cannot follow you to pay tax for monies that has not released. In fact, the delayed payment is actually hurting our revenue generation. Because if we don't pay pension, then we don't get the tax emanating from pension. If we don't pay counties, we don't get the... So the moment we disburse, the better for us for our revenue generation. So delayed payments are not good even for generation, because that's where we get our tax from. So I'm a bit surprised that KRA could harass counties for monies they have not disbursed.
Bwana PS, what happens is that, for example, I'm receiving money for December. I'm supposed to be paying for December and January. But again, December I'll pay the gross. January, what I'll do net. KRA does not understand completely that this money was meant for December. It's for that man.
He further says the debt component is taking a huge chunk of the resources they are collecting. However, the answer was not satisfactory to senators who insisted that they can't give Treasury a blank check on when they will disburse the monies.
At the summit, where the president sits and the deputy and all of us, it was a case of discussion. Actually, what happens is there are so many, of course my county is not in court, there are many other counties in court over the same issues. Until we were saying government can't take another government to court, we have to resettle our issues.
On this matter, so that we resolve it. A problem discussed is half solved. Because sometimes we have claims here and there. I think let me handle it, even the issue of IFMIS. I want to just make sure I take it personally with the relevant entities. So next time I appear before you, I will be able to have a better answer. Yeah.
Most of the counties have been struggling under the weight of disbursement, with most resorting to taking overdrafts from banks to pay salaries. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47, Nairobi.
Right now, to get into the wonderful world of sports. The men's national rugby sevens team Shujaa plans to survive relegation from the World Rugby 7 Series is on a slippery slope as they have been drawn against tough opponents in the Pool D fixtures of the Hong Kong Sevens. Shujaa will come up against series leaders New Zealand in the Hong Kong Sevens open on Friday night before facing off with Ireland and African giants South Africa on Saturday. Shujaa dropped one place to the 13th place in the series on 29 points as head coach Damien McGrath admitted to facing tough fixtures in the group of death, however remaining confident of registering good results in the 15th place core team. Based on accumulated results, points following the 10th round in Toulouse will be relegated, while the 12th, 13th and 14th place teams will enter relegation playoff together with Challenger Series winners at the 12th round of the series in London. Athletics Kenya, in conjunction with Athletics Integrity Unit, AIU, has intensified its war on the doping menace by organizing workshops and seminars with athletes in the country to discuss ways of combating the vice. AK and AIU held one of the many workshops in a 10-town, Elgeyo Marakwet County, where they held talks with top athletes and stakeholders on the best way to restore Kenya's integrity in world athletics. Speaking after the event, Athletics Kenya President Jackson Tuwei highlighted the negative implications doping athletes have on Kenya's legacy that's set by legends, including National Olympics Committee of Kenya President Paul Tergat. In their prime days, meanwhile, Athletics Integrity Unit President Brett Clothier stated that they are committed to help Athletics Kenya utilize funds allocated by the government in the war against doping effectively.
Uphold the integrity of the sport.
We thought we were going to get out of this very soon, but instead of getting out of that, it became almost another difficult task to come out of this, and that is why we thought it is important that we come out here and engage everybody who is involved in athletics. Above all, the government of Kenya has also come in very, very strongly, and you have heard that they have donated some good amount of money to fight this menace of doping, and so we are all talking the same language.
The AIU has come here and has been asked by the government to work with Athletics Kenya and with the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya to make a plan and a strategy for how to spend those funds. And a very important part of that planning is to come to the community itself, to come to the athletes, to speak to the coaches and to the support personnel, to hear about their experiences, their ideas to solve this problem.
Now, football has always been considered as a unifying factor in any society. In Kibra constituency, the sport has transformed the lives of many young men who initially engaged in crime and violence before joining the Darajani Dogo project and engaged in sports instead. The project has seen the reformed youth teaming up to form the top-performing Darajani Gogo FC that is participating in the National Super League NSL as they dream of representing the country in international competitions. The dream is within their reach as they hope to claim the Mozart Bet Cup title by winning the final. The hurdles, however, will come in the form of tough opponents as they are expected to face in the journey, including Sofapaka, whom they play against next on Saturday. According to Darajani Gogo CEO Abdul Zarak Roba, stated that the club is a true reflection of the impact of sports in reforming the society.
Ni reform group. Ni reform group ambayo kitambo tunajua ni mtaani, sisi tunatoka Kibera. Base yetu hapo ilikuwa Darajani ni base. So hiyo base yetu kulikuwa na ngeta pale, kulikuwa na uwizi pale. Ilikuwa literally the most dangerous quarter mile in Kibra. But wase waliamua kureform. Tukaanzisha group pale ndio youth reform. From there wase wakaanza kubadilika. Wala wase walikuwa wabaya, wakaanza kutumia vitu kama sports na other programs kama za kuchange maisha yao. Because tulipoteza vijana wengi sana. Tulipoteza vijana wengi ambao ni size yetu na wakubwa kutuliko. But ilifika mahali sasa tunagundua hatuwezi endelea kuishi hivi. Sisi sasa tunaanza kuwa parent wa watu. Itabidi tubadilike. Na katika kubadilika tukagundua football ni tool kubwa sana ambayo tunaweza tumia kubadilisha